Well, what's going on, everybody out there in YouTube land? I want to address something to all y'all out there that might be listening. You know, the stuff that's happening to our nation, and that's been happening to our nation for about 300 years, is going in the opposite direction than where it was supposed to be. And the reason why I put the title of this stream, Do You or Do You Not Honor Your Oath to the Constitution, is because I see so many people that are ex-military or law enforcement or government officials or whatever, continuously throwing up kind of rhetoric that they claim that they honor their oath and their oath is not expired and all this other stuff, but yet they still condone the erosion of our natural rights that are supposed to be protected and ensured by the Constitution. All right, because those rights existed before the Constitution was written. All right, government does not provide these things. Government does not give you fucking rights. Government doesn't give you fucking freedom. All right, for centuries, all governments, no matter what kind of system is in place, has always eroded our natural, God-given or creator-given, however you want to put it, rights. Okay? Every single one of them. And I was just on a live stream, and if somebody happens to come over here from that live stream, because he just kicked me out for sitting there making statements in the chat that he didn't agree with. For one, I was making a question, do you support the president that is in place right now, which Biden did wanted to do the same thing. Hillary Clinton wanted to do the same thing. So it doesn't matter if it's right or left. What's up, popcorn? It doesn't matter if it's right or left. But the president that is in place now wants to put you in jail for a year if you burn the American flag. That's going against the First Amendment right off the bat. Okay. And this ex-military man, he claims that his oath never expired, but yet if he was to see me burning an American flag, he was going to beat my ass. Okay. How is that actually honoring your oath that you took to protect and ensure the Constitution of the United States of America? When one of those amendments in that Constitution, the Bill of Rights, was the First Amendment, and burning a flag, a piece of fucking fabric, is a constitutional right. Okay? I don't give a shit what flag you fly. I don't give a flying fuck. I have no allegiance to any of them. I don't really give a shit. It's just nothing but a symbol. And that's how the evil people put us all in this cognitive dissonance, this fucking Stockholm syndrome, and advocating and fighting amongst ourselves about shit that really does not benefit us. All right? If we don't hold true to the Constitution and hold true to our rights and stand up for them things, what the fuck good are you? And quite honestly, I don't really give a shit about your feelings. Fuck your feelings. Okay? The truth is that If you're not willing to do it, if you're not willing to honor your oath, and so many others aren't willing to honor their oath, because evidently, man, just taking a fucking oath is a formality. Evidently that's the way it is now. You just got to go through this formal fucking thing just to get the damn job. You got to, it's not anything binding. And that's what's the problem. It's not binding. If there was a prison time for people that violated people's fucking civil rights, our natural rights, and there was a prison time and a fucking punishment for that, there would be less people out there willing to fucking violate them. But it seems like that's just like I said, it's just a formality. And it drives me nuts because you get so many people that are on that bandwagon that are, all gun ho for this and that, and, like it's something that, like you going over into another country because the government told you to and fucking shooting a bunch of brown people. You think that you're protecting us. You think that you're doing this for the country. No, you're not fucking doing shit for the fucking country. You're only doing this for the fucking government or the fucking people in power that told you to do it. And the only reason why the American people get back behind all this shit is because they've been brainwashed into believing in this duality fucking bullshit. What's up, Watt? What's up, Snooks? I'm just sick and tired of it. I've seen it. There's a lot of people I follow on YouTube and a lot of people that know me on YouTube. All right. And I tend to be all over the place. Okay. And I will speak my fucking mind. But there are people out there that have this severe cognitive dissonance and a severe Stockholm syndrome for this idea of government and this idea that there are a few people out there that know better than the rest of us. And that's the thing, man. I've said it before. Political, corporate, and religious dogma is what is killing life on this fucking planet. All wars, all through history, has been for those reasons. It has been for religious fucking belief. It's been for political or nowadays corporate belief and power that has created all of the fucking wars in this fucking planet for as long as I can remember. I mean, for thousands of years. Okay. The general people of this planet don't just go out to fucking war and shit like that. We don't fucking do that. It's just an average, quote unquote, normal people don't do that shit. It's just not a thing. But you have these people that believe that we aren't smart enough to govern ourselves, but yet they think that a select few can govern millions. I'm fucking sick and tired of it. I really am. I'm fucking sick and tired of this blind, lack of better words, patriotism. They're not able to see the stuff that's going on. All they're seeing is, like, for instance, like the last live stream I was just on. I wasn't on the panel, whatever. I was just in the chat, but they were just sitting there watching Trump sign a bunch of bills and shit like that and talking and blah, 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 blah. Just more of our wealth being stolen from us in the form of taxes, doled out to every fucking country around the goddamn world and starting an endless fucking conflict with somebody. And our boys and girls that go into the military with this idea, this idealism that they're going in, doing this for the American people, for our country, and bullshit like that. That's exactly what it is. It's an ideal. That's all it is. But that's not the truth, because what the truth is, once you become that weapon, you are now that property, and that weapon will be used on anything that they see and deem fit, even if it's against your own people. It's this trap of duality, this trap that forces us all into this divide and conquer scenario. And it is a worldwide agenda. And that's what drives me nuts. It's like you got so many fucking people out there that believe that, England or Ukraine or Israel or whatever, Palestine, it doesn't matter. All these people are actually allies. That's fucking bullshit. I will say this right now, and I don't give a shit if you like it or not. There is no country around the world that is an ally of the American people. Not one country around the world respects or recognizes our natural rights as American people. They might be an ally of the government or the people in power because, there's always money involved, but they are not allies of the American people. All right. And I'm only speaking as the governments around the world. I'm not necessarily speaking of the people of those countries. Now, there are probably a lot of people in England and in all kinds of other countries around the world that, just average people. Yeah, they're probably allies. And they're probably good allies of the American people. It's the governments around the world, including the ones here in America, this corporation, and that's the reality of it is, it's a corporation that was bought out, bankrupt and bought out a long time ago, and has been traitors to the American people. I mean, shit. I think a lot of it started way before 1913, but 1913 is a good time to start because that's when, was it the Social Security came into play, the Federal Reserve came into play. They took us off the gold standard. These are traitorous acts against the American people. But yet there are people that were military, and they claim that they are still honoring their oath, which is bullshit. Because if they were honoring their oath, if the military itself, the military that we have in place right now, was truly honoring their oath, they'd burn the fucking White House down. They'd burn the goddamn Federal Reserve down. They'd burn the goddamn fucking Pentagon down. They'd burn it all fucking down to the ground because they are traitors to the American people. And that's the truth. And I don't give a flying fuck if anybody out there, agrees with me or not. I don't give a shit. It fucking infuriates me when you got people out there that are claiming that they are honoring their oath and they're willing to, like, for instance, beat my ass or allow the president to put me in jail for burning a fucking piece of fabric that looks like the fucking flag. I have a First Amendment right. I can burn every goddamn fucking flag of every fucking nation in the fucking world right here on my fucking lawn right now in fucking protest. That is my fucking right. And there is no consequences for that because there is no way to criminalize or make my right consequential. I don't give a shit if you like it or not. You can like it or not. You can like it or lump it as far as I care. Because you honestly, if you're willing to go that far and like beat my ass for burning the fucking flag in front of you, how far should I go for things I believe in? And yes, I agree. Flags are divided by design, and that's the thing too. It's just this. You know, like I said, it's the divide and conquer scenario. It's the trap of duality. You know, you're either on this side or that side. You start calling out the left, people start talking, saying that you're a Republican. You start calling shit out on the Republican side, people start thinking that you're a fucking lefty. Well, that's all that fucking. That's the trap. That's the trap they want you in. Oh, you know, I know every fucking one of you guys out there that are supporting this fucking this order that's fucking President Trump is putting out, putting National Guard in all these fucking cities around the fucking nation. I know damn well y'all would have been up in arms if fucking Biden had done it, or if fucking Clinton had fucking done it, or fucking, you would have been up in arms if they fucking done it. But no, it's okay if fucking Trump does it. It's okay if you got your boot of tyranny that you want on your neck, as long as you agree with the boot of tyranny that you've got on your neck, it's okay to put that boot on your neck. I mean, but you'll be up in arms if the other boot of tyranny from the other side's on your neck. No, it's all bullshit. If you subscribe to the left-right paradigm, and if you are the fucking problem. This is why my channel is not focused or dedicated to anarchy. It has it in the title of the fucking channel, but it's not focused on that. But that is where the true freedom lies, is in true anarchy. Because everything else, every fucking thing else that's been happening for 3,000 some odd years has been slavery for the average people. Because there's always a small group of people that think they have the moral right to rule over others, and everyone else has the obligation to obey. This is slavery. I don't understand why people don't think that we can govern ourselves, but yet they still think that a small group of people can govern millions. If they can't even govern themselves, how can they govern millions? They're just people like the rest of us, right? I mean, so I think. I can't prove it one way or the other. I can start talking crazy talk and say, some of those people that are working in the background are technically not really humans, but they're posing as humans. And they got so many fucking people believing in this fucking bullshit. Like I said, without sounding crazy, yeah, they're just fucking psychopaths. Yeah, they're human, but they're just psychopaths. And they believe that they can rule over you, and they will do it by force, coercion, or compulsion. Those are the three things that they use against us. And they get us all to be on board with this shit. All these fucking conflicts and all that stuff. They start pulling at people's heartstrings and, yeah, this is the American blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? The American flag, blah, blah, blah. I have no allegiance to any flag. I don't give a shit what that fucking is. I don't give allegiance to any fucking piece of fabric at all. It offends me, you know. Yeah, it offends me when people started tearing down the Confederate flag and started tearing down the Confederate soldier fucking statues and stuff, because, there were people that were actually, back then, um, was the first time and hopefully not the last time that we actually fought against the government. Because the Northern aggression, that was the government. They were the ones that were wanting to put in the treaty, for the Union to bring everything together. That's how they get all these fucking countries all these fucking countries. Like, I know people in Ireland right now, they want their country back. Okay, yeah, I agree. Take it back from fucking Europe. Take it back from fucking England. Fuck the goddamn king. Fuck the goddamn king. Take your fucking country back. That's how I see about here in America. Take it back. Take it back from these fucking crooked fucking psychopaths that believe that they have their moral right to rule over us. And they will use whatever means necessary for us to comply. Like I've said, they are willing to use scorched earth against us. And then them just rule over the ashes. They're willing to do that. How far are we willing to go? And that's a question you don't have to sit there and answer in the chat. That's not a question that you should put out here on the public scenario. That's a question you should ask yourself. That's the one that you should really dig down into your own soul and your own fucking self and ask yourself, how far are you willing to go? If they're willing to fucking kill you off and a shitload more people off in the name of safety or in the name of for the greater good or, whatever fucking bullshit fucking anagram or whatever they fucking want to put on it, how far are you willing to go? My focus is freedom. Anarchy just happens to be a word. Unfortunately, the definition and the meaning of anarchy and anarchism has been distorted and co-opted and fucking hijacked by the ones that want to continue to be your ruler and master. Because to them, anarchy would be chaos because they wouldn't have control. But anarchy and chaos are actually opposites. Okay? But to the masters and the rulers, it would be chaos to them because they wouldn't have control. And that's the problem. I don't really fear, like all these fucking talking heads, all these politicians and shit that write fancy words on a fancy piece of paper with a fancy fucking pen on TV. I don't really fear them all that much. It's the ones that are willing to enforce the will of those people and the ones that are willing to comply. Those are the ones that I'm worried about. I'm not going to mention dude's name because I don't really have to. If anybody's in the chat knows who I'm talking about, so be it. But I was just over on another live and I got kicked out because some of the people in the chat thought some of the statements I was trying to start a fight, which I'm not trying to start a fight. I'm trying to get people to fucking start thinking critically. I'm trying to ask questions and make statements. I don't really give a shit about arguing. I don't want to argue with me. Arguing just wastes time to me. There's no benefit in arguing with fucking people that just want to argue or think I'm arguing. I can care fucking less. And like I said, I will be straight up with all you right here. I don't give a flying fuck. And that's what drives me nuts because, like, for instance, that particular person's live that I was sitting in the chat with is one of those people that are willing to enforce and comply with tyranny. Like I said, it doesn't matter who has the goddamn fucking job. It doesn't matter if it's right or left. It doesn't fucking matter. We're always heading in the same fucking direction. If any of you think anything can get done in 4 fucking years that it's taken over 200 to get to where we're at now, you're fucking delusional. And if you think that you can vote your way out of tyranny, you're a fucking idiot. And if this hurts anybody's fucking feelings, I don't give a shit. You know, there are times, man, that I know there are points in my life that, yeah, you know, it's hard for me to see the fault in my own life. And sometimes it's easier for me to deny it also. But sometimes it takes a third party, somebody on the outside, that's sitting back and watching it from a distance to say something to me, for me to realize where I'm going wrong or whatever. So knowing myself this way, I know others are in the same position. There are so many people out there that are blinded by this fucking bullshit fucking clown show, because I mean that's exactly what it is. You know, they talk about, you know, like the Romans were talking about, give them bread and circuses and they will never revolt. Hell, just watching this fucking political shit on TV is a circus. That's a circus they're giving you. I mean, it's not just fucking MMA, WWE or fucking fantasy football. It's also this political bullshit that you see on TV right now. You know, this back and forth, the debate, Democrat, Republican, Democrat, blah, 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 blah. It's a fucking circus. All of it is a fucking circus. And the more circus they give you, the more you pay attention, the less likely you are to revolt against tyranny. Because you believe the fucking bullshit. It is political theater. And that's exactly what it is. It's all a fiction. It's a fucking fiction. It's all made up. Even the idea of money is an idea. I mean, hell, the rich don't want us to have fucking money. They want to have, they don't want us to have money, because if everybody had money, they wouldn't be rich anymore. That's the reason why this whole idea, even the fucking idea of money, is to keep us, the average people, in the position of poverty, struggling, fighting amongst ourselves, watching the clown show, rooting for their team, while they are all in the background working consistently. Seems like they don't even fucking eat and sleep. It seems like they consistently work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year to erode our natural rights. Because I mean, seriously, it's like all those fucking wars and all those other fucking countries and shit. How did any of those wars, going over into another country, shooting a bunch of brown people, protecting my fucking right, my fucking first, second, third, fourth, fifth, on up to the 10th, you know, how does it protect any of those? When the very ones that we supposedly, you know, especially the ones that vote, put these people in to protect those fucking rights, are the ones that we've got to fight against. You know, the very government that was put in place to protect those fucking, our natural individual rights, is the very system that we've got to continuously battle against. And then you put this on a global scale, this New World Order shit. There are probably, I don't know, 6 or 7 different countries around the world right now where there's a shitload of protests because of all this immigrant fucking migration shit. 6 or 7 fucking countries. as we fucking speak. Australia, UK, Ireland, I mean, there's a shitload of fucking countries right now as we speak. Bunches of people are getting out in the fucking roads, waving their fist in the air and shit like that, fucking protesting all this fucking uh, uh, immigrant shit. But in reality, what do those protests do? Not a goddamn thing, because the powers that should not be don't give a flying fuck. They're the ones that created the fucking problem in the first place. So what they're going to do is they're going to wait for you to have this fear-based reaction so they can step in with this pre-planned solution, which is erode our natural rights even further. You know, if you really wanted to have these protests actually mean something, you should go up to the places where the politicians and all that stuff are, and demand them to either explain why they're letting all these people in, or or demand them to kick fucking rocks because they are traitors. Because just walking down the goddamn street, fucking shaking your fist up in the air is not doing a goddamn thing. Oh yeah, it might bring, more eyeballs onto the subject. Yeah, I mean, I hear that argument a lot. Oh, it's bringing awareness and blah blah blah. But, it really doesn't fucking make a fucking difference if the powers that should not be are the ones that are pulling the strings. Don't give a shit. Pro se, Michigander, Anthony, Tate, um, Angsty, yeah. Good to see you guys. I'm not really reading the chat all that much. I'm just kind of ranting because it just drove me nuts, because dude just kicks me off of his fucking chat, kicks me off and stuff like that, because um, I called him out. I called him out where, I said, you are not honoring the oath that you took when you went into the military. If you're willing to, beat somebody up, or willing to allow the president to, put people in jail for burning the American flag, that's not honoring your fucking oath. You did not, you did not, um, that oath is not to that fucking flag. That flag doesn't mean shit. Your oath is to the Constitution and our individual natural rights that are enumerated and penned on paper for the specific reason for the government itself to protect and ensure those fucking natural rights. Those natural rights did not come from the fucking military, come from the government itself. What good is our fucking military if they're not going after the true traitors that are embedded in our goddamn government? The true traitors of American people that erode our the whole idea of America. They take an oath. It's like, to protect and ensure against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Why isn't the military going after domestic enemies? The true traitors, domestic traitors in our own, that are embedded and posing as government officials, and slapping their asses into fucking military tribunals, and fucking, and hanging them out there to the fucking dry in the fucking public square. And that's another thing too. You know, I hear this argument that so many people say, you know, oh, uh, you know, uh, you know, if the government was like, you know, to use the military, whatever, you know, to go against American people and American soil, you know, all those military people, American people, they wouldn't do it. That's fucking bullshit. They'll do exactly what they're fucking told. And I like to see you sit there and stand on your fucking square and fucking go up against the goddamn military and tell them no when they give you a direct order. I like to see you do that. I like to see how many people are willing to do that. You know, it comes back to that question. When the powers that should not be are willing to go scorched earth and rule over the ashes, what are you willing to do to protect yourself and everything that that you find that you that that you deem to be worthy to protect? How far are you willing to go? You know, and it's like I said, it goes to that question onto the military. You know, if you were truly honoring your oath as a military person or honoring your oath as a police officer, I want to see you stand on your square, honor your oath, and go against any and all unlawful, not legal. There's a difference between lawful and legal. All unlawful, which is what I mean by lawful and legal. See, what is legal is not always lawful. Okay, lawful pertains toward the Constitution or pertains toward common law. All right, there's a lot of things that are legal that is not in concert or in that is not um, in line with the Constitution, but yet it's still on the books, and there are people that are technically, in my mind, traitors that will enforce these unlawful legalities. Anybody that arrests anybody and puts them in jail or prosecutes them and puts them in jail for burning the American flag is a traitor because they are dishonoring the oath that they took to protect and ensure the Constitution. And the First Amendment is the very first goddamn amendment in the Bill of Rights, the first goddamn one. And burning a fucking flag doesn't matter if it's an American flag, a rainbow flag, or a fucking Israel flag. Doesn't fucking matter. That is my First Amendment right to do so. If if people thinks it's okay to punish people for exercising their First Amendment right, it's not a right, it's a privilege. And government is the only one that provides privileges. And if you have privileges and not rights, you are a fucking slave. It fucking drives me nuts. This the idea, this religion called government, and this occult that severely protects that cult. Those are the ones to be fucking really um, concerned about, because they're not really concerned about freedom. They might say they are. They might like freedom for themselves, but they don't want you to have fucking freedom. They want to have freedom, but they don't want you to have freedom. You know, It's like here on YouTube, for instance. This is a private corporation that owns YouTube. Technically, it's not a free speech platform, okay? Because they consider themselves to the point where they have freedom, but they don't want you to have fucking freedom. And that's just one little tiny example. And it's the same thing with government. Government, you know, in all its forms for over 3,000 fucking years has always reserved the rights for itself. And converted the rights of the people into privileges. And they do that through consent. They do that through compulsion. They do that through coerciveness. They do that through force to get that consent. And according to the law, silence is considered consent. Because there's no rebuttal, there's no argument, there's no pushback. So therefore you consent if you just stay quiet. And I speak out when I need to. I have learned over the many years of being around so many people all my life that I learned so much more by being quiet. Because, you know, quite honestly, you can't learn anything if you're talking all the time. And that's the thing too. It's like, you know, I was pointing out important topics of the day, basically, in that chat. And I was asking questions. And because people do not have the ability to see the forest through the trees type of thing, they're claiming that what I was talking about was not as important as what Trump was sitting there saying on the fucking TV. Because quite honestly, like I said, all he was doing is sitting at behind a desk with a fucking pen, writing some scribbles, some fucking fancy words on a fancy piece of paper, and then they sprinkle some pixie dust on top of it, and then all of us must bow down and obey. Like I said, it doesn't matter who's got that fucking job. They all do the same thing. Doesn't matter if it's left, right, doesn't matter. They all do the same fucking thing. And they all are pointing us toward this Agenda 2030. They're all pointing us to the New World Order. You know, if you're so for, Trump, has some good points that I happen to like, versus some of the others. But I'm gonna tell you something, man. He's nothing but a fucking globalist fucking pawn, just like the rest of them. Technically, I mean, hell, even Trump said it himself in the public fucking realm. He has allegiance to Israel. If he's got allegiance to Israel, he has no allegiance to the American people. Why would you show allegiance to a fucking flag that represents the government or the Union of America, and the supposed leader of that fucking union has allegiance to another fucking nation? The same thing with fucking Biden. The same thing with fucking Clinton. Same thing with fucking Bush. They all fucking were bullshit. There was a time, I think it might have been, I can't remember exactly what president was right offhand, but there was a time in our American history that we had a balanced budget. Our budget was fucking balanced in this fucking nation. And not a single person in America was being taxed. You know how they funded the country is by 100% tariffs. They were putting tariffs on every other fucking country that wanted to do business with us. And the monies off of that is what was running the fucking country, and a balanced budget. And the American people weren't being taxed. You know, if you want to believe this fucking story that they tell us about, you know, this, we started a war over, you know, part of it was because of a 2% tax. Why in the fuck are we not fucking doing something about this now today when we're getting taxed probably 60% of our fucking wealth, if not more? I mean, what's going to stop them from taking 100% of our fucking wealth from us? So, you know, every day that you work, you really don't get any of that because it goes all to the fucking government. And then they might give you a couple of crumbs off of that shit that you earned. What's going to stop them? You know, it's the same thing with this fucking bullshit fucking shot in the arm shit. What's going to stop them from doing it again? What's going to stop them from doing something even worse than they did before? Because the first time was nothing but a fucking run through, a test run to get all the kinks out of their fucking logistics. I mean, honestly, this could be all the National Guard that being, you know, passed around in the nation right now. Could be a precursor to something that's supposed to be coming. Because I mean, honestly, you know damn well they've got to set up logistics if they're wanting to start something. Because I'm gonna tell you something, man. When the government believes that it can suspend our natural rights in an emergency, it will create an emergency to suspend those natural rights. What's up, Indy? And yeah, they can sit there and say, "Oh, it's because of crime, and so because of this and that, and all this other stuff." You know, it's like it's for the good of the people, or the, you know, the good of the whole, or whatever, blah blah blah, bullshit. You know, in reality, it's most likely just a precursor and the predestination of logistics for something to come. I'll tell you this, you know, all the legislation and all the paperwork to put Homeland Security and the Patriot Act was done long before the trade towers came down. All they needed was a a tragedy to kick those policies in. That's all they needed because they already had all the infrastructure in place. There was 2.3 billion fucking dollars. No, trillion dollars. 2.3 trillion dollars that just up and disappeared from the Pentagon. And then a week or so later, the fucking trade towers go down. Everybody forgot about that 2.3 trillion dollars that disappeared. Everybody just magically forgot about that. And everybody was sitting there waving them fucking American flags and shit, blah, blah, blah. Almost every single fucking one of those pieces of fabric are made in fucking China. That's what fucking pissed me off too. I was sitting there, I was like, why are you waving this goddamn American flag? The man damn thing has got, it said made in China right there on it. And like I said, I don't give a flying fuck if it offends any of y'all. I really don't care. If it does, grow up, you know, get some fucking butthurt cream. I don't really give a shit. And if it doesn't offend you, fine, whatever. I don't give a shit one way or the other. You know, We have a global cabal that is working against us. And they've infiltrated our nation in the positions of authority, power, and leadership. You got people that are senators and shit like that calling death to fucking America. These are fucking people that need to be hung by the goddamn neck in the middle of the fucking square for treason. But yet they're making fucking policies that all of us will be punished for if we don't obey. But you got these people that are so rah, 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 American, rah, 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 Trump, rah, rah, this, and that, whatever, whatever, you know. These motherfuckers don't fucking see it, you know. In their mind, it's like, oh, yeah, that's okay. I don't mind that, you know, because they're doing it against those people I don't like anyway. Well, that's fine and dandy on that end of it. But what are you going to say when those same tactics are being used right against yourself? You know, the very thing that you were fucking praising was being used against you. You know, there's a part of me that, you know, that don't give a flying fuck type of part of me. You know, those people that condone and perpetuate this fucking shit to keep on going, when it comes to their fucking front door, don't fucking ask me to come help. You know, and it's the same, you know, because I've never voted in my life. Never. And I'm not ashamed to fucking say it because I will not participate in this fucking bullshit fraud. I've never participated in this bullshit fucking fraud other than the shit that I'm being forced into fucking participate into. You know, because the way the system is, we don't have a fucking choice but to participate in certain aspects. You know, like getting a driver's license, you know, because if I actually exercise my natural right that is protected under the goddamn 14th fucking Amendment, you know, these kind of things, you know, the right to travel, I'll get fucking harassed by the corporate fucking thugs that are the cops because they've all been convinced that we all have to have these things, or it is, you know, it is mandatory to have these things. We have to get in contract with the government. We must get in contract with the government because otherwise, you know, I shared a meme on my community tab a while back ago, and it was a picture of a bunch of birds in a bird cage. The cage door was wide open, but there's like 4 or 5 birds in the cage, and they see this one bird flying out there in the sky, all being free and stuff. And those birds in the cage are like, "You up there being free and stuff is, you know, that's harming. That's wrong. You can't do that. We all have to be in this cage." Like, you're, you know, it seems like because there's so many people that have to, you know, contract with this fucking evil corporation. They feel like the only way to feel better about themselves is if everybody is in the same boat with them. You know, oh, you know, I've got to fucking go get a driver's license, or I got to fucking, I got to, you know, do this and that. And then you do too, you know, because I've got to do it. You got to do it. You know, that's just the way it is. That's the way it's always been. You can't do nothing about it. Don't even think about trying to fight it. You know, it's just impossible. You know, you should go along to get along, everybody. Just go along to get along. But to what end do we continue to just go along to get along? You know, when we're all dead? And then what? You know, it won't even be satisfying for me to tell you, I told you so, when they come to your fucking door. When you thought you were safe, when you thought you were doing the right thing, you know, your intentions were good. When the very system that you put in place, you advocated, you voted for, comes for you at your fucking home, at your fucking front door. Who do you blame? What's up, SG? I see you guys in there. I'm not reading the chat all the way. I am reading some of it, but you know, I'm mostly just going off because I just find that fucking infuriating and disappointing that, you know, one of the so-called quote unquote patriots out here on YouTube got offended by the reality, by the truth. And then on top of that, you know, you know, didn't want to hear it anymore, so decided to kick me off chat, which is, you know, that's fine. You know, that's fine. You know, I'm down to the point where I'm just going to start. I'm going to start fucking unsubscribing to a lot of people simply because they're not willing to fucking listen to reason, because they're stuck in this occult called government. They're stuck in this occult religion called government. And that's unfortunate because, I mean, there's some good people out there. You know what I mean? You know, but they've been hoodwinked. They've been lied to for so damn long, they believe the fucking lie. You know, protests are just the same thing as like goddamn fucking voting. Doesn't mean shit. It just shows the powers that be, or the powers that should not be, really where you stand. It's basically a litmus test, if you guys know what a litmus test is. It's basically what it is. You know? The only way a protest would work, like I said, is going to the actual people that are putting these policies in place, these fucking legislation and all this other stuff, going to them face to face and demanding them to explain themselves or get the fuck out. Because protesting and waving your fucking fist in the air or voting has never fucking worked and never done anything, and you know, never changed anything anyway. Because they don't give a shit. The ones that are up in power, they don't care. They really don't give a shit. I don't understand why people don't get that. You know, there's too many people that think that these people up in positions of power are like us. They're not like us. And they don't think that they're like us either. And that's why they don't look at us as equals. They don't give a shit about us. So why do you think that they are equals? You know, compare. Why would you look at them as an equal when they don't even look at you as a human being, for one, and also as an equal? Dude kicked me out of his chat. He's like, I know you've got your own channel and you might want to go ahead and spread that rhetoric on your own damn channel. Well, that's what drove me to fucking have this fucking little live stream right now and sit here and talk your fucking ear off for going on an hour now. That's what inspired me to do this. No, SG, you get all government employees from the top all the way down to the fucking people answering the goddamn phones, right? They all are basically, and this is another thing too. I'm kind of even finding myself in a position of almost hypocrisy, because I'm trying to get a job with the public works of the county. It's a point of hypocrisy on my end of it, because I mean, I figured, I'm 50 years old, and and I know if I get a government job, it's really hard to get fired from a government job. So I mean, I'm 50 fucking years old. Why not get a comfortable or easy government job and live out the rest of my days like that? So there is that part of a hypocrisy in my own mind. I'm not working for the government yet, but I've actually put applications in to work for the county. So if I get that job, I'll be in that same shit that I'm talking about. I'll be in that same fucking shit. I'll be a welfare recipient, sovereign citizen, claiming to be a public servant. And that actually infuriates me too, because I really don't want it. And infiltrate, that, I mean, I always thought about it as like, it's like if I do get this, public works job or whatever, for instance, and the shit goes down and the shit happens, the shit hits the fan, this type of scenario in the nation, because of that job, I'll have an upper hand on some other people, kind of like infiltrating, but it's almost like, I'll have access to heavy equipment, access to a lot of different things, know a lot more about the infrastructure of the county, for instance, not necessarily to, it's more like, if the shit hits the fan, I'll have an upper hand on some aspects because I'll have access to certain things that other people won't. But whatever. But like I said, as it stands, I do not work for the government, never worked for the government. I've never taken any handouts from the government, because I know that everything the government has to offer, every type of product, every service, every fucking thing that the government has to offer, it takes from others. There is nothing the government has to offer that it doesn't take from others. So I know that, and that's the way the system has been put in, and it drives me nuts. You got these fucking, like, I was sitting there watching, I was reading a story just the other day about these fucking cops in this one county somewhere. Can't remember exactly where, but, they're technically getting, was it 13% more money paid to them in their salary every year than the average person. And then they're asking for more money. They're asking for raises. As far as I'm concerned, cops should only get fucking minimum wage. Same thing with politicians. They should only get minimum wage and not be able to, use their positions of power to to gain wealth, because honestly, man, it just seems like a career path for a lot of people. And they stay in there for the next 40 to 50 fucking years, and they have all these opportunities to do insider trading and make billions and billions of fucking dollars as a fucking politician or a government official of some kind. And then government reserves all the rights and immunities for itself and none for us. Yeah. I mean, we got window tint uh um infractions, like traffic infractions. They're not laws, but they're traffic infractions. You're not here in Florida, you can't have the window tint at so dark. You know what I mean? But the government, and I'm speaking more about the law enforcement end of the government, they've gotten it worked out to where they are immune for these things. They are immune from it. Um, they don't um, they don't have to abide by those same laws. It's kind of funny too, because if like around here in Florida, I've just gotten down to the point now. If I see a car with really dark tinted windows, I just assume it's a cop. Because cops are the only ones that have really dark tinted windows nowadays. And that's just one aspect, you know, drives me nuts. I've seen it around here. You got some of these, smaller towns and stuff or whatever. But even then, it doesn't even have to be smaller towns. But you got a lot of these cops and stuff like that. They're allowed to take their police vehicle home with them and stuff like that. And what drives me nuts too is at the same time, these motherfuckers are going to the goddamn grocery store to buy groceries, and leaving the fucking car running, and all that gas that they're using and all that stuff is what the taxpayers have to pay for. Basically, just driving around in the police vehicle doing his off-duty shit, using the tax dollars to fucking do all that. And that's another thing too that bugs the shit out of me about these fucking cops. And you sit there and you sit there and you spit the reality, which is technically they work for us because we pay their salaries, out of our taxes. And then you get some of these cops that say, "Oh, I pay taxes too." I was like, "No, the fuck you don't pay taxes. Your taxes come out of my taxes. So technically I pay your fucking taxes." You're basically just welfare recipients. But yet government officials, all of them, from county all the way up to goddamn the president himself. These motherfuckers are stealing our wealth in the form of taxes, doling it out to all these other goddamn countries around the fucking world, and then creating all these conflicts around the goddamn fucking world, killing our men and women in the armed services, in because of fucking bullshit, you know. And we're all slaves, basically economic slaves, being forced to pay for all of it. Sitting here watching my dogs. A little bit. is going into heat. And I saw her, the father of her, fucking sneaking around the fucking house again today. And that dog has gotten fucking big girl pregnant 3 times now. And I'm just so sick and tired of that shit. I'm ready to fucking shoot that dog. These are the days of dogs wild, yeah. Yeah, I saw him around here earlier. I don't know. Like I said, I'm probably going to go around and start unsubscribing to some of these people out here on YouTube that I've been following for a number of years, you know, because I'm getting really sick and tired of this cult mentality. Like I said, political, corporate, and religious dogma is what's killing life on this planet. And I don't give a shit if you like it or not. If you think I'm right or not, I don't care one way or the other. This is how I see it, and I will call it like I see it. Um, I'm getting down to the point where I've been trying to open people's eyes for many, many years now, going on over 20 years now. I've been trying to open people's eyes to what's going on, and the plan that has been in place for a long time. And I was saying, it's like, they made it public also. It's like I said, it's Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, America 2050. These are, the New World Order, the one world government, one world religion. These are not conspiracy theories. This is conspiracy facts. Okay. There are a global cabal conspiring against all of us, and they think they know better than the rest of us on how we should live our lives. Like I said, I'm just getting down. There's a part of me, it's that fuck it part of me that just that's start cutting a lot of people out of my life altogether. A lot of these people that I consider decent people out here on YouTube, because I've known a lot of people out here on YouTube for quite a long time. I mean, I've been on YouTube since 2014. I've had Anarchy Television since 2016. Um, I've been in the public realm because, I mean, I'm a CB operator. I mean, I've been on, the CB is a, original social network. I've been in the public realm since I was 14 fucking years old. I've been learning and researching a lot of this stuff since I was like 19 years old. You know, and I've been trying to put out a little bit of this and a little bit of that to so many people out there. And I've just gotten to the point now. It's just like, for all those, it's like that. What was that? The thing about the watchers. The thing. I don't claim to be one of the watchers, but I do watch. I do sit back and I sit there and observe a lot of stuff. Um, and that's one of my favorite hobbies, actually. You know, when I was homeless for 10 years, when I used to be a bouncer at like 3 different bars, you know, observing people and reading people was, not only a hobby, and at times it was actually part of my job. So, you know, um, I've learned a lot about myself by observing others because technically when you look at another person, you're technically looking into a mirror, you know. Um, and it's kind of like this bullshit I was sitting there just ranting about this fucking one character out on YouTube. Uh, you know, um, to throw that mirror basically in that analogy is I saw something in that person that that I don't like in myself. All right. I don't want to be that person that falls for all this fucking occult fucking bullshit of government and this idea of religion, blah 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 blah. I don't want to get caught up in all that shit because that is what is destroying everything. So when I see something like that in another person, I see what I don't like in myself. It's like when I see something I like in another person, I also see that same thing that I like in myself. So when you look at another person, you're actually looking into a mirror. But most people don't do that reflection type of scenario. A lot of people don't even know who in the fuck they are. They don't take the time to actually discover who they are. But they're willing to fucking give advice to other people on how to fucking do their life and shit like that. Oh, you need to do this. You need to do that. You should do this. You should do that. Quite honestly, if I just did what everybody told me, I just wouldn't have to think anymore. I could just do what everybody fucking told me to do. I just stopped thinking, because people tell me it's like, yeah, you should do this. You should do that. You need to do this. You need to do that. Well, if I just stop thinking and just do what they tell me, I think my life would be so much easier, wouldn't it? It would just be so much easier, you know? But the problem is, I realize when everybody is running over that cliff to their death, I'm running in the opposite direction. Fuck that bullshit. And everybody's going to look at me like I'm fucking crazy too. You know what I'm saying? Oh, look at that guy over there. He's running in the opposite direction. That fucking crazy fucker. Why is he doing that? But I've gotten to the point now. I was like, it's kind of like on that story of the Watchers where I was going earlier. It's like, it's like one of the things is like, um, one of the jobs of the Watcher was, it's to warn of impending doom, basically. And if no one hears or nobody hears and takes in that warning of that impending doom, it will be on them when everything comes crashing down. It would be on them. But if the watcher does not warn them of this impending doom, then the onus is on the watcher. You know, so there's a part of me, I've just gotten down to the point in some aspects, is I've done my job. I've done my part. I've tried to warn people for many, many years. I've tried to open people's eyes to the alternative of slavery. This the mentality that needs to be changed altogether from what the powers that should not be has been put in place for over 3,000 fucking years, man. I mean, this shit didn't happen overnight. That's what drives me nuts. People think everything's going to change in fucking 4 years. It ain't. It's taken 3,000 years to get to the where we're at now, because where we're at now is influenced by all those fucking thousands of years beforehand. You know, there is a part of me. I'm not saying this is the majority, but there is a part of me that fuck it part of me that just wants to just say fuck it. You know, I've tried to tell you, I've tried to warn you, I've tried to fucking open your eyes. You refuse to see it. You know, you want to stay in this cognitive dissonance. You want to stay in this form of Stockholm syndrome. You want to, you know, keep your head buried in the sand. Fine. I've done my part. Don't ask me for help when the shit hits the fucking fan. You know, it's like there was this story. It was like a joke, actually. You know, it's like this guy stuck on a fucking island, and he's sitting there praying to God to help him. You know, oh please God, help me, all this other stuff. You know, to get him off the island and save him. And there was one day there was like this little fishing boat, kind of coming up, and he coming toward the island and stuff. And the fisherman on the fishing boat was like, you know, waved at him, and he's like, hey, you need any help? I mean, I can take you to shore and all that stuff. And the guy was like, no, thank you. God will save me. Fisherman just kept on going. Next thing you know, there's like this fucking big fucking boat. I mean, one of those big fucking huge, like, you know, one of those big boats, like a fucking, you know, one of those rich kids would have. Has all these fucking, you know, barely, you know, anything on. I'm talking women. These women that get barely, you know, almost fully naked, sitting there just waving and partying out there on the bow of the boat and all that stuff. And they come up toward the island, and they notice the guy on the island. And it's like, hey, you know, they start yelling. It's like, hey, you know, you guys, you need any help? Come on, you know, we'll help you out. We'll take you. And the guy was like, no, thanks. God will help me. And they just took off and they kept on going. Next thing you know, there's like this big barge, this huge, you know, like a container ship. And there was only like the captain and like two other people out on the barge, you know. But they were just kind of like going by this island, just real slow, like too. Happened to notice the guy on the island, you know, and they were like, you know, we'll help you out, we'll take you in and all this other stuff. And guy refused and said, no, God will help me. And the guy sat there, and nobody, no other boats came by. So he's out there and he's like praying to God, like, why won't you help me? Why won't you help me? Why am I still on this island? Blah, 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 blah. And God happened to answer him back. And God said, well, I sent 2 boats and a fucking barge. What more do you want? You know, I don't claim to be a watcher or even a prophet, but it's quite possible that I am. I don't claim to be, nor do I think I am. Same thing as like a leader. I don't claim nor think I am a leader, but it's a possibility that I am. You know, it's quite possible that this God that a lot of people believe in is speaking through me. I don't claim that's what's happening, but it's possible that that's exactly what I'm still on this fucking earth for. Because I mean, there's been a number of times I've been shot at. I've been in 3 different fucking car wrecks. I've been in a motorcycle wreck. I mean, you know, there's been a number of times in my life that was very sketchy. That, you know, if things had been slightly different, I wouldn't be sitting here right now talking to you guys out here on this live stream. For some fucking reason, I'm still here. Even if it is to sit there and say, you guys out there, you know, I'm not talking to you guys out here in chat specifically, but, you know, I'm just kind of speaking, you know, broadly. And I'm kind of thinking about that in particular individual that kicked me off the live stream, and some of the particular individuals that were in the chat that were just, you know, um, you know, parroting the same bullshit. You know, and that's just one aspect. And there's a lot of people out here in the world and on the social network, you know. Um, that's why I kind of speak broadly. I'm not speaking directly into anybody in particular. Um, and then even then, I just kind of forgot where in the hell I was going with that. But it's a possibility that what I have been put here in this realm, in this universe, on this plane, was to speak and do what I am doing. And you know, I've had this um, lack of better words, an urge to do this. For some reason, I feel compelled, I guess, to to uh, to open people's eyes to what's out there and see the forest through the trees, type of thing. Because obviously, you know, too many people, that's all they see is just you know, see a bunch of trees there, and that's all they can see. You know, it's like they got blinders on, where all they can see is directly in front of them. They can't see to the side. They can't see to that side. They can't see what's up here. They can't see what's down there. All they can see is right directly in front of them. And even then, some of them, they've got their head buried in the sand so they don't see shit. But their ass is sticking up in the air. But unfortunately, those are the minds that has to be awakened. You know, like I said, I don't really fear or even worry about these psychopaths writing fancy words on a fancy piece of paper, calling it law, and then sprinkle some pixie dust on top of it, and then all of us must obey and or comply or die type of scenario. I don't really fear those people. It's the ones that are willing to enforce it, and the ones that are willing to comply are the ones that I'm concerned about. And those are the minds that we've got to awaken. That's got to be awakened. Those are the minds, because that is really where the true war is. It's the battle of the mind. You know, the battle for North America will be fought in the video arena, the Videodrome. All right, the battle for the mind, our minds, is what really the prize that they seek. They don't really give a shit about our wealth. They don't really give a shit about our property, because technically, if they control your mind, they have all that stuff. You know, if they've got your mind, you will just be happy and own nothing. You will be happy though. You'll be hunky dory, because that is the true battle. That's the true battle over your fucking mind. And if they got control of your mind, everything else comes along with it. And I want to believe without, I don't even like to use the word believe, but I like to believe what you're saying, SG. You know, all they need is our words. And I mean, in some ways, I want to believe that. But there's also a part of me, and it's like, so many people have their mind, they're so closed-minded where, they've already been programmed. They're not willing to accept a new operating system altogether. Because that's what really needs to happen altogether, in a sense, is basically eliminate the operating system that's in place and replace it with something better, a better operating system, a more efficient operating system, a more freedom-oriented operating system. But for over 3,000 fucking some odd years, we've all been indoctrinated into this operating system that always has a controlling party over everyone else. Back in the day, there was emperors that had empires, and there was kings that had kingdoms. Now we've got countries run by cunts. And I'm sure you guys over there in the UK can appreciate that. One of the main reasons why, like all these protests are happening all over the fucking world in a lot of different countries right now, because of all the migrant shit. One of the reasons why the governments are actually showing more favoritism toward to the migrants or the immigrants or the illegals technically illegals. They're showing more favoritism toward the illegals than the actual people of that fucking nation. And then one of the reasons why is because they want to actually replace us and kill most of us off. Because what's going to end up happening is it's going to end up coming down to, there's going to be chaos. There's going to be, there's going to be famine. So a lot of people will end up being starved to death because, the infrastructure or the system that's in that's not, it's not ready for that kind of thing. When it comes down to the supply of food, supply of, of water, and just basic human needs. We need to eat, we need to drink, we need to breathe, and we need land, land, because and I've said this before, the only true law is created by the creator, because creator is the only one that can create law, and law stands for land, air, and water. Only the creator creates law. All this other shit, statutes, codes, policies, regulations, acts, fucking mandates, and all this other shit is all man-made crap. The only true law is created by the creator. And that's the only true law that we should all be, adhering to. Because we're not technically owners of this fucking planet. We just use it for a little while. This fucking planet, this fucking planet right here is alive. This thing right here is alive, and we're just living on top of it. Like, see my dog sitting over there scratching her ass? Just like the fleas that live on her back right now. That's what we are to this planet. It's like fleas on the back. And that drives me nuts. I cannot get rid of these fucking fleas. They're just everywhere. No matter how much she scratches, no matter how much she itches, there's always going to be fucking fleas on her. No matter how much, poison I put on her and stuff like that to get rid of the fleas, they still come back. And that's basically what we are to this planet. Because this planet is a living entity too. And the way I see it, man, because, the creator, it will eventually get down to the point where it will just shake us off. And for all you people out there or that have been in the military or in the military or anything like that, every one of you motherfuckers that are in the military or police department or whatever, or even government officials and stuff like that, the elected officials, whatever, every fucking one of you took an oath. Every fucking one of you took an oath, and it's not a formality. It is an oath that you are bound to obey and uphold. And if you violate that oath, you should be held accountable and you should be called out. And you might get mad and all this other stuff, but I don't give a flying fuck. I didn't take an oath. I didn't take an oath. I did not take one oath whatsoever. So I'm not bound by any fucking oath. I'm not bound by any fucking flag. I show no allegiance to any fucking piece of fabric out there. I don't give a shit what flag, whatever. I don't care. I have no allegiance to any of them because none of them have actually done anything for me. It's like society. Fuck society. Society hasn't done shit for me. Society has created like pedophilia. Society has created this fucking corruption. Society has created this goddamn fucking, uh, um, you know, pitiful fucking crap out there. So I think society sucks. I was watching a movie, kind of a low budget movie, but it was actually pretty decent anyway. But I was watching a movie last night, and it was about this girl. And was just going through life, kind of like going through kind of like a kind of having a shitty type of life, not really all that great, having a kind of crappy job, and not really, you know, having you know, a lot of things going for her and stuff like that. She was even considering suicide. And and then all of a sudden, it was kind of like the turn in the whole scenario. But all of a sudden, um, this entity came on everybody's fucking television set, everybody electronic fucking shit or whatever, you know, and came to say that this simulation is being discontinued in a week. So, according to the to the galactic fucking treaty or act of 3135 or some shit like that, you know, they had to disclose um, to the to the um, to the images or whatever you want to call it, to the um, that the realm that we are in is basically a kind of like a digital hologram, and we're all living in this hologram. Technically, there is an actual real life one of us somewhere, and then there's multiple versions of that in the digital realm, in this digital type of a kind of like virtual reality type of shit. But this realm has served its purpose, and it's going to be discontinued in a week. And they're going to give you a choice. Now you can choose either to stay in this realm with no help whatsoever, or you can choose to go to a place where you can live in like basically an endless loop of your happiest moments forever. Majority of people took the option B, basically. Where where they would end up living the rest of eternity in the best moments of their life, and basically a loop, so they, be like paradise. Most people did that. But this one character, this girl in this movie, decided to take option A. Like I said, before the AI program came on and announced that this experiment, this whole thing will be, discontinued in a week, she was actually thinking about committing suicide and just whatever. Well, it got down to the point, she said goodbye to her mother and father, that kind of thing, and then a couple hours later, everybody's gone. She was the only one left. I mean, that's what she thought, but that, 2 fucking years go by, all the stuff is still here, but everybody's gone. You know what I mean? Everybody's gone. But for 2 years, it was like the happiest thing, the happiest time of her life. You know, she was alone. She was taking care of herself. She basically had this whole planet or the whole area where she was living all to herself. And she didn't have that anxiety. She didn't have that that fear. She didn't have any of that. And I'm trying not to spoil the whole damn movie, but um, come to find out that that experiment or that cycle or whatever that digital program has been played out like 3,248,7 times or some shit like that before, and out of the 3 billion other um the other um people, the other uh, versions of herself, um she, she was this one particular one, this was the only one out of all those other versions that lasted the longest. It was like I said, it was 2 years just living, and all that stuff. But it got down to a point where she ended up, there was somebody else from back when everybody was still here that she didn't really like. It was kind of like he was an asshole and really didn't like him and all that stuff. But come to find out, after 2 years of not seeing a soul out there, he pops up. Evidently, he was one of the ones also that decided to take option A instead of option B. And all of a sudden, just one day, he pops up in her life again and totally reminds her of all the shit that we used to have. A lot of that anxiety, a lot of that, that fear, all kind of rushes back in. And but what I'm trying to say with that is, it's like, there was somebody that said that in the movie. It's like, people just need people. And in some ways I kind of agree, in some ways I kind of don't agree. You know, because I mean, me personally, um if I was put in that same position as that girl, for instance, and the AI program kind of just made it publicly known to everyone on the fucking planet that this is actually virtual reality that we're all living right now, and this virtual reality is now being discontinued within in a week exactly. It'll be discontinued and it'll be no more. And you have these two options. You can either have option A, you can stay here after the week is up, and then but you will not have any more help from the AI anymore and all that stuff, blah blah blah. Because technically, what they were also trying to play into the movie was, because this is just all a simulation. Um, you have no choice. There's no choices that you can make that the AI or the artificial reality hasn't provided for you. So you know, but in this reality, the AI was trying to determine something from this reality, which they've tried to determine from realities past and other realities. But the reality in this one was, or like the hinge, as they said in the movie, was the hinge of this reality was penguins. All right. And and like in a scientific type experimental type of scenario was, okay, how did uh this species of penguin, which are now extinct because, you know, people killed them off, killed the whole species of penguins off. All right. How did this species of penguins affect the world at large while they were still on this planet? And then how did it affect this planet after they were gone? And then on top of that, you got to realize it wasn't the fucking penguins' fault that this whole thing was all set up. It was technically the AI that set it all up in the digital realm as an experiment. But we, the people, are the ones that killed the penguins off. So in a way, there was a certain thing in the movie that was like, in a way, it was like, well, then, there's just no point in any of this shit. None of it. In some ways, it's kind of like that in some ways, all this fucking blabbing on politics and religion and all this, it doesn't fucking matter. Um, in the grand scheme of it all, it really doesn't fucking matter. Even according to the Bible and all this stuff, it's not it's like, it's basically because, God already knows the end of the story, that kind of thing. So it's all basically predestined or preordained and stuff like that. So if our destiny is already basically determined, it doesn't matter one way or the other what we do, because our destiny has already been determined or preordained. But that drives me nuts. I don't like the idea of not having control over my own destiny. I don't like the idea of a third party having control over our destinies and basically having control over all our decisions and control of all of our, choices. Because technically they control and provide the choices. Therefore, our choices doesn't matter because the choices were provided toward us. It's kind of like how I say, I've said this about one of these nights. I'm gonna have to share that movie with Indy and see if she's interested in watching that one night. But it's just the ending I wasn't really crazy about, but it was an interesting movie. Like I said, it was kind of like a B movie, a low budget type of thing, but it was an interesting type of take on scenarios. But that was like what I was saying about on the voting scenario. You really don't have a choice. For one, they don't give a shit on who you vote for. It doesn't really matter who you vote for. It doesn't really matter. But you got to understand, even the choices that you have to choose when you vote, those choices were provided for you. So technically, you don't have a choice because you didn't really choose for the choices. It's like I was saying. It's like almost like it's like the destiny or the your future has been provided. Unless we start doing the opposite. It's like I said, it's like, I'll be definitely one of those people that'll be running in the opposite direction while everybody else is running off of that cliff. While everybody else is just going over that cliff over there, I'll be running that way. I saw you in there, Black Watch. I saw you in there, Bonnie. What's going on? And and it's like I was saying also, is like on the biblical sense of it all. If supposedly that book is like oh, wait a minute, look at that. I don't know if you can see that on film. Ah, hell, I can't see it on film. There's a rainbow right over there. Oh shit, I can't get it on film. That sucks. There's a rainbow right over there. Damn. And even then, that fucking thing, that rainbow right there, is being fucking compromised and coerced, and turned into this fucking bullshit scenario by the LGBTQ and all that shit. I don't know if you guys, I can't see it on my camera. It sucks. It's like right fucking there. I can see it with my naked eye though. Oh, it needs a prism. I can't change anything on this camera because it's on StreamYard. Now, if I was on my regular, just without StreamYard, I can probably go through all my settings on my camera and I can probably get it. There's probably a setting on my camera where I can probably pick that up, but it's right fucking there. I can see it. It's like right there. Well, it'd be a bright future if I can go over there and find a pot of gold underneath that fucking rainbow. That'd make my future a little bit brighter. But the thing is, even like, according to the Bible, it's supposed to be like premonition or whatever. It's already got basically how things are going to be laid out, how things are going to happen. That's basically our destiny already preordained and pre-written down. This is how it's all going to happen. And I don't like the idea of my not having control over my own destiny. And I don't think that we should, and this is my opinion. I don't give a shit if anybody else thinks the same way I do, but I do not think that we should, oh shit, it's a double rainbow. There's two of them up there. It's a double rainbow. Wow, that's cool. But anyway, don't think they should, that we should, let that book, dictate our destiny or our future. Just because it's written in that book doesn't mean it has to happen that way. Quite honestly, man, I think we could just totally say fuck that book and say, hey, you know what? Instead of fucking Satan gaining power, we should fucking, imprison him before he even gets to that point of being in power. And imprisoning him for the rest of fucking eternity. So we have more than just 1,000 years of peace. We've got millions of years of peace. Because quite honestly, man, I think, if we all play it out the same as it's written down in that book, all we get is 1,000 years. I mean, shit, don't you think we're owed more than 1,000? And SG, I was sitting there talking about this, like when you talk about like a time travel scenario. I mean, it's quite possibly that, in the future, we've invented time travel. Or, it's quite possibly that we've already invented it. But that is something that people are currently trying to figure out. Time travel, traveling faster than the speed of light, wormholes, black holes, all this other shit, multi-dimensional shit. All right. And so there's a very possible and plausible thing out there that our future, which is not linear, our future has already done that. And it's quite possible that That Bible was never supposed to be written. And the way to and one way to control the future is by controlling the present and the past. So, what if that Bible was never supposed to be written, and you had the access to time travel, and you go back in time and write a book convincing everybody this is the Word of God to basically affect the cause and effect type of scenario? You want to actually create a future. So one way to do that is go back into the past, not necessarily, and essentially changing it, because it's possible that a book was never supposed to be written, and then actually writing it, putting it back there, and convincing people this is the Word of God and this is what we all should be doing, and it's all laid out. This is how it's going to happen. You don't have to worry about it. It's already been pre-planned. I wish you guys could see this, man. It's a double rainbow sitting there. It is pretty neat. The only thing is, SG, is that, that's how we see time travel at the moment. But I'm sure our view of time travel will definitely change in about 200 years, if not sooner, because um, there's a lot of stuff that we don't know. We're a three-dimensional being looking at the world in a two-dimensional plane, looking at it in this two-dimensional type viewfinder. And that's just not how reality works. Reality's not all on a two-dimensional plane. And it's quite possibly that there's other dimensions and other universes all happening at simultaneously right now as I speak. And there's quite possibly another version of me sitting in another dimension or another universe right now doing the exact same thing I'm doing right now. It's just that instead of seeing two rainbows, I'm probably seeing something else. Or quite honestly, instead of the grass being green, it's actually brown. You know, there's probably slight differences, but there's probably another version of me somewhere else on another universe somewhere else doing exactly what I'm doing right now. And but there's also extreme versions of that living out the lives and stuff like that. I mean, there's, it's, and if people don't even think that's possible, I don't understand why you think that there's some kind of fucking big dude sitting up in the clouds fucking dictating shit. You know, I mean, if it's not hard to believe that there's some big dude up there in their cloud sitting there, it's got all knowing and all knowing, blah blah blah. How come it's so hard to believe that there's life on other planets, on other universes, or other dimensions? You know, if you believe in God, how come you don't believe in ghosts? You know, being honest, I start thinking about these things. These are the things that I question. These are the things that the things that run around in my mind, you know, because I see all of that stuff as a reality in one way or another. It's just I'm not able to touch, taste, or smell it or see it. But I don't believe, but I know some of these things to be true. You know, that's why I don't believe, I don't hope, I don't have faith or any of that. Hope, faith, and belief are empty concepts in my mind. They hold no water whatsoever. It's all individual. Some people give more to those things than others do. I see them as empty. Belief is always in conflict and the enemy of knowing. So I don't, what people believe. You can believe that this sky is fucking blue. You can believe this sky is purple polka dot with yellow fucking stripes in it. All I care. I don't care what you believe. All right. Belief cannot be argued. Belief cannot be questioned. All right. Because that is an individual subjective scenario. That is not an individual objective scenario. Technically, the sky is not blue. It's actually transparent. The sky is actually transparent. It's actually not blue. It just looks blue because of the light that is being passed through the molecules in the sky. That's the reason why it looks blue. You can believe it's blue all you want, but the reality is not true. That's what drives me nuts about these people that are into this government cult. What you believe about government, what you believe that these politicians and all this other shit is not the truth. And what you believe and what you're willing to fight for is a belief. You're not fighting for truth. You're fighting for belief. You're willing to lay down your life for a fucking belief, not truth and reality. I am. I'm willing to, if I have to, if it comes down to it, I'm willing to lay my life down for truth. I'm willing to lay my life down for, for reality. And that's the thing too. It's like, I'm not one of those people that want to die. I enjoy life too much. So I don't want to. I don't fear it. I don't fear death because I know it's a natural thing. It's coming for all of us. Nobody's getting out of this fucking shit alive. So, I know it's a reality. It's an objective truth. So I don't fear it. I just don't want it to happen anytime soon because I enjoy life. But even then, death is only a step to graduate to the next level. I don't subscribe to this biblical type of sense of heaven and hell's type of shit. I don't subscribe to that shit. I see it kind of like graduating from high school into college or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, you're just graduating to the next level. And you continue on to learn. It might not be on this plane. It might not be in this universe. But it also may be on this plane and it might be on this universe. The old saying of old souls. There's many people that have probably, lived many, many lives in the past. And evidently, for some reason, they come back. And, kind of like, this living thing that we're living on is really the storage place for all the souls after we pass on and to be recycled into something else, into another life down the line. And it might not be on this plane. It might be in another universe, in another plane somewhere else. Quite possibly, all those other universes where the other versions of you are living it out. It's quite possible. Once you die, that energy, that spark that keeps this physical body going, once it leaves, it might go to that other universe and live in another being over there or whatever. Or it might just stay here on this plane in this universe and continue on until you achieve nirvana, enlightenment. And that's possibly what we are all supposed to be doing is to achieve enlightenment, or to go to nirvana, or you know what I mean, Valhalla. And unfortunately, that's the powers that should not be. They want to divert us from that, you know. And it's quite possibly also that with their control of our mind, because there's a difference between your mind and your brain. There's a difference between the two. And honestly, man, everything in your body is connected. Everything. So it's quite possible that along with your mind is your soul that's connected to your mind, and that soul, that spark, is also what the powers that should not be want to have control over. And that's what I see in so many people out there, you know. And like I said, I see it, like I'm all over YouTube. I'm just going to use YouTube as an example. I see it all over YouTube from these so-called patriots that are stuck in this cognitive dissonance, this goddamn fucking Stockholm syndrome type of shit. It seems like that their brain, their mind, their soul has been corrupted. Their soul and their mind has been infiltrated and is being controlled. And they're helping participate, and they're helping in progressing this to keep on going. Like I said, I appreciate all you guys coming in tonight, and hanging out and listening to my shit. And like I said, it was inspired because the dude over there fucking going all fucking ape shit. Because he's been indoctrinated into the religion of government. And when I put statements and ask questions that contradict those beliefs, people get violent. People get really upset. And like I said, I don't give a flying fuck if you get upset. Because quite honestly, I see you as the problem. The ones that are in that state of mind, I see you as the problem. You're not the cure. You know, it's just, you know, unfortunately, in this realm that we're living in right now, and when the one I've been born into, the pursuit of freedom and the pursuit of cures from sickness and all that stuff, it's not profitable. You know, safety and cures and stuff like that are just not profitable. Because there's just more profit in keeping people sick. There's more profit in continuous conflict and wars. It's also profitable. Quit. What are you doing, little girl? What are you doing? What are you doing? Get out of my lap. Come on, get out of my lap. Come on. Quit. What are you doing in my lap? Get out of here. Come on. Come on, you down. But it would be nice if we can actually change that. Make it profitable somehow. But anyway, I appreciate all you guys coming in here, hanging out for a little while. I'm done talking. Y'all have a good one out there. 1122 Wingnut Radio out here for Anarchy Television. Back out.